Alright, welcome back everybody to another Transformers review. I'm your host, Hyper92, and we're going to keep the Target Master thing going here. This time we're doing, you guessed it, Cyclonus. This is the Reveal the Shield Battle in Space version, so this is a more cartoon-accurate color scheme. Unlike the other Target Masters that I've done so far, this one actually comes with its own official Target Master. That's right. Okay, so that's not entirely true. Scoop was actually officially a Target Master as well, but that's a different line, so we'll go ahead and say it's the first one that I've done that's officially a Target Master. His Target Master is this nifty little fella that most collectors probably have about 5 different times if they collect Transformers. Maybe that number is slightly off, but yeah, I want to say this little guy probably has been used about 5 times as a Target Master. His transformation is insanely simple. All you do, take his feet, fold him down, fold back his gun, fold down his waist section, fold down his feetums. Yes, that's a nice little reference to somebody else that I kind of enjoy watching reviews from. Feetums. I just think it's funny. Fold down his arms, and there you have him. His name is Nightstick. Now, I have a little bit of an issue with that. Nightstick is just not fitting for a Target Master. If you know what a nightstick is, it's a wooden stick that cops carry around to beat people. Good for bludgeoning, yes, but not a Target Master name. Personally, I think he would have been much better named as Boomstick. I'd love to keep calling him that, but I don't know if Sam Raimi has the licensing for that. Maybe it's copyright, maybe that's why they couldn't use it. And hey, maybe I'm going to get in trouble for saying it in a review. So I'm going to pretend that never happened. You never heard that. He's a pretty cool little dude. Articulation. His legs are articulated. Does not have any bend in the knee, because, well, he's a tiny little dude. Does have a little bend in the toe that you really can't use for a whole lot, but yeah, you might want to if you're, like, doing a little running pose or something. And he bends at the elbow, which is kind of cool. Does not have anything in the head, and that's fine. You know, he's a tiny little dude. What do you expect? Doesn't have any in and out at the arms. It's just up and down. You know, so it's kind of a little bit more G1 like that. But, we're going to go ahead and move, not Boomstick, Nightstick to the side. And we're going to go ahead and get to Cyclonus. He's a cool little guy. One of the best things about him, light piping. Awesome. I have basically just my lights going and a white background. And his eyes are glowing. That's right, they are freaking awesome. I'm sorry, I'm a sucker for light piping. He is also part of the Reveal the Shield line, and his shield does reveal, showing that he is indeed a Decepticon. It actually reveals quite well. For articulation, we will go ahead and get into that. He does turn side to side at the head, no up and down, but that's quite alright. Arms can go in and out at a joint below the shoulder. Interesting little touch, but it works. Nothing at the wrists. Elbows do bend about 90 degrees, give or take. His shoulders do kind of want to come off. They just clip on, as you probably noticed, but that's okay. For posing purposes, it works quite well. I suppose you could consider it articulation. He does have wings on a double joint, so you can pose those really however you want. Does have rotation below the elbow. Does go in and out at the hips. We're going to go with the Van Damme scale here. Thanks to Vangelis for that, because it's just freaking hilarious. He can get full-on Van Damme splits. Very nice. He does have bend at the knee, not quite 90 degrees, but enough to get you where you want to go. And he does have toe bend. Not so much up, but down on both sides. And that pretty much covers the articulation. High points, light piping. Low points, things don't really want to clip in all that terribly well. They like to come loose, and his joints are a little bit loose at times. So you'll want to kind of be careful how you pose him. Also, kind of a low point. The wings are attached to the arm, not the back. So you move the arm, you move the wing, which drives me bonkers. But I can live with that because he is a very, very nice representation of G1 Cyclonus in robot mode. Now, in vehicle mode, not so much. Vehicle mode is actually quite the opposite of G1, the G1 toy, that is. The G1 toy had a beautiful alt mode. The robot mode was awful. But that's the case with pretty much all G1 toys, with a few exceptions. G1 had one gimmick. It transformed. It was a robot that turned into something else. It didn't have to have firing missiles most of the time. It didn't have to have lights and sounds. The transformation was the gimmick. So everything went into the alt mode. The robot mode was secondary. This is about the exact opposite. The robot mode is beautiful. In so many ways, it's G1 Cyclonus. The alt mode is good. It's not horrible. It's not hateful. It's not. But it's not as good as the robot mode, in my opinion. Now, for comparison, let's bring in Combiner Wars Power Glide. That's how he scales with the modern-day Legends figure. And see what else we got here. Combiner Wars Hotspot. So he stands fairly nicely to Hotspot. Probably about accurate, considering Hotspot is the leader of the Protectobots. So he should be a little bigger. And let's see what else we got here. Let's go ahead and bring in a couple characters we've already done a review on. Of course, they are Cup and Scoop. And I don't have to tell you guys that, because any good collector probably knows these guys at least as well as I do, and probably better. And let's see what else we got here. Let's see how he scales with a modern-day masterpiece. Adjust that a little bit, and that's how he looks with Soundwave. So, yeah, masterpiece, not so much for scale. Alright, so that probably does about most of the relevant skills for comparisons. Let's see. All that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into transformation, shall we? Let's. I find it's easiest to start by flipping the fists in, and as is standard fare for most Deluxes, it just flips right on in there. And then you can flip the arm back so the fin is pointing backwards. Then go ahead, take your wings, pull them out on that double hinge. Just kind of gets them out of the way. And this I thought was kind of a cool part of transformation. Not the shoulder, that's not what I mean. That's an annoying part of the transformation because it will not stay on. Now the arm, you will notice, is not on a standard traditional sliding hinge. It's on one of the types of hinges where you actually bring it up a little bit, if you can see what I'm doing there, at an angle, and then pushes in. And I thought that was really cool. I will go ahead and do that with the other side. That being done, let's go ahead, flip the head around. That's why it has such awesome light piping. I love that. We'll go ahead, bring the back panel down, and conveniently located inside is his nose cone. We will flip that part out. I thought that was a really cool part of transformation. That was pretty clever on their part. I don't get to praise Hasbro as much as I would really love to lately. They just don't give us the opportunity. That was clever. And we will go ahead, take this little nubbin here, slide his nose all the way out, and give it a nice little tug. Make sure it's out all the way. And then that's going to come up and nicely, come on, nicely hide his head. You can still kind of tell it's there, but you know, it hides pretty well. I like it. And his shoulders, as you notice, detach. If they haven't already on you, then go ahead, pop them off. And these just swing down, just like that. That was kind of a cool little idea for transformation, I thought. It's neat little touches like that that put the Deluxe figures from a couple years ago so far above the ones that we're getting lately, I think. I really do. There was more love in them. They just worked better. But that's just my opinion. And then we will go ahead, pull the bottoms of the legs apart, and they just separate. They're supposed to. Don't worry, you're not breaking them. They are on what you call a, well, I don't know if this is the technical term, but I call it a Y-hinge. It's kind of sort of like what you see with the modern day aerial bots. Not exactly, but kind of that. And those just come right up. Go ahead and do that on the other side. Just give it a nice little tug. It'll separate and come up. Come up. Doesn't want to because I'm on camera. But what do you expect? That is part of reviews. Apparently, everybody has that problem. And then we'll go ahead, leave these as level as you can. Take your toes, your feetums. Yep, I like that word. Feetums. It's just fun. And bring them together. They won't come together, but, you know, as close as you can get them. My yellow looks a little off there. See if I can get it. It's a little better. And then we're going to go ahead and bring... What am I not doing here? I'm doing something wrong. I see what I'm doing wrong. I forgot to swing this around. After you bring this down, swing the arm around on that shoulder. And then that'll line up so that you can peg these together. If you see that peg on the side of the inner arm, that'll just go into a port right there. And then this wing you can bring down and peg into the outside. And that'll peg into the outside of the arm. Stay. You stay. You will because it's normal. And then same thing other side. You've got a peg here going into the outside of what was the shoulder. Peg down here going into the outer side of the forearm. And then, of course, the peg on the inside here that we already tucked in. And hopefully it stays in. Maybe. Stay. Stay. Getting it all lined up is not difficult, but it doesn't always want to work with you right at first. Just keep playing with it. It will. And all that being said and done, now you have kind of a nifty little Cyclonus jet. It is not what you would call cartoon accurate. But it looks pretty good. It looks the part well enough. It does the job. It does what it needs to do. You do also have landing gear under his shins. And there's a nice little nub that you can grab to pull that out. Same thing on the front. Bring that down. And there's Cyclonus transformed. Now here's what I'm talking about as far as his alt mode. I don't like it as much as the robot mode. And I want to, but I don't. They don't really line up here. You see gaps. You see unevenness. The back side. You see major gappage there. And hopefully that's coming across well enough on the camera. It looks very yellow on my viewfinder, so hopefully it looks alright. You can definitely tell legs, you can definitely tell underside. I honestly am not the hugest fan of it, but I don't hate it. It represents what it needs to represent. It looks like a Cybertronian spaceship. Not really G1 accurate from the cartoon, but it looks decent from angles. Unfortunately, Nightstick does not have a way of being incorporated in this mode unless you take the barrel, get it out of the way, bend the legs, just sit them on there, and that doesn't really work, but you can do it if you want. It's a thing. Not saying it's a good thing, but it's a thing. And okay, so that all being said and done, final thoughts. He's a good figure. He's much stronger in his robot mode than his alt mode. But both modes certainly are passable. Strong points. Love the light piping. Totally love it. The engineering on it, I thought some of it really was pretty clever. Stands well, poses well. Honestly, I do like it. I do. I wouldn't have gotten it if I didn't. Nothing in my collection is there because, oh, I just figured I'd get it for reviewing something. I got it because I liked it. Weak points, yeah, things could have clipped together a little better in some spots. Could have hit a couple of things a little better. The alt mode obviously has some flaws, but it gets across what it needs to get across. Would I recommend it? Absolutely. This is still my definitive chug Cyclonus. I was considering getting one of the third-party ones, and then I found this guy on eBay, and I jumped at it. I will not bother with the third-party one, not because it looks bad. I think it looks good. I'm just not going to bother with it because I don't need it. This, to me, in robot mode, which is how I'm always going to have him, is absolutely Cyclonus. I don't need to get Tempest because this fills every hole for Cyclonus in my chug collection. That being said, I hope that everybody enjoyed this review, and if you did, I'm not going to bother to tell you to like or subscribe or any of that stuff because I'm not a like whore. I'm not going to play that game. If you enjoyed it, awesome. Keep coming back, watch some more. I'll try to keep doing this stuff as much as I can, as much as my job allows for scheduling. If you didn't like it, feel free to tell me that too. I'm definitely still starting out, and I'm more than open to suggestions, pointers, tips, things that I could improve on. You know, just try to do it in a way that's meant to be helpful, and I'll absolutely appreciate it. You guys have an outstanding day. Thank you for tuning in, and take care. Talk to you later.